Now that we know our friends and enemies, we can start using this to our advantage, not just with people, but with countries, with states, with cities, with brands, with car brands. Once we know our enemies, we know what to avoid. We know not to make massive decisions in our enemy years. Everybody goes through an enemy year when they are like 5, 6 years old, and then again when they're like 17, 18 years old. And then in another 12 years, it'll happen again. What is up, Star Seeds? It's Sid, and today we're going to be talking about Chinese astrology. I already have a video on Chinese astrology, so if you haven't checked that one out, I do recommend it. That will give you a rundown of what these signs are like. I filmed it 7 years ago, since I've been doing YouTube for 7 years now. That was literally in my first 10 YouTube videos. But today we're going to be talking about friends and enemies of the Chinese zodiac. Now, in that Chinese astrology video that I made years ago, I talk about the year sign and the hour sign. The most popular Chinese zodiac sign is the year sign, of course. Right now, we just recently, last week, entered the year of the horse, the fire horse. So that kind of sparked this video to get more into the Chinese zodiac. I've known for a while how to calculate the hour signs because it's really simple and the same every day. That one is probably the next most popular because of the easy calculation to it, but it's not nearly as talked about as the year signs are. So there's the year signs, the hour signs, there's also the month and day signs as well, which are a bit more tricky to calculate. The month, you just have to count from the Lunar New Year to see where you fall in that. There's the same 12 animals in the Chinese zodiac, but they assign them to months of the year, but their months are lunar months. And then the day sign is where it gets a bit more complicated to calculate. So I might do a video on the calculation of just a refresher of the year, how to do the month, how to do the day, and then a refresher of the hour, since I haven't talked about it in 7 years. So I might do that video in the near future. But today we're going to be talking about Chinese zodiac signs, the animal signs in general, and really their compatibility with the other signs. So this is mainly for years, but really it's not. It's for all of these different, month, day, hour Chinese zodiac signs as well. So it's just the archetypes in general. I'm not going to explain what the archetypes are in this video. Check out my original Chinese astrology video for that. In this video, it's who's friends and who's enemies. I think the best way to kind of do this is draw out the wheel. So I did. It starts up here with a rat. We go to ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat or sheep, people call it, monkey, rooster, dog, pig. Then we go back to rat. We are going to go sign by sign, talk about who's their friends, who's their enemies. But first of all, I want to show you the common ways that friends are found. So we have really like the triplices. So we have rat, dragon, monkey. That's one like triangle that's formed. It's like a trine in astrology. The next like triplice friend group is ox, snake, and rooster. Then we've got tiger, horse, dog. And lastly, rabbit, goat, pig. So those all form triangles. I don't want to mess up my little diagram there in the middle, just showing the opposites, because those will come in handy in a second. We talked about the most common friends. There's you or whoever we're talking about, and then your two main friend signs. But the most common enemies are the ones directly across. So rat's most common enemy, directly across, opposite from it, horse, ox, and goat. That's a really bad one. Tiger and monkey, rabbit and rooster, dragon and dog, snake and pig. So that was the most common friends, the most common enemies. Let me show you guys another common friend grouping. So I don't hear as many people talking about this, but rat and ox are friends. Tiger and rabbit are friends. Dragon and snake are friends. Horse and goat, monkey and rooster, and dog and pig. So those are like the little couple friend groupings that we have here. I am a snake. I am often friends with people born the year before me in the year of the dragon. People born the year of the dragon, often friends with people born the year of the snake. The snake likes people 1 year older than them. The dragon likes people 1 year younger than them. It can go other ways too. Like it could be a 13-year difference. It doesn't have to be a 1 year difference. But that's just kind of a basic grouping. Rat and ox, people say, are really good friends. Disclaimer that obviously you guys can be friends with other signs that aren't your Chinese astrology friends. The year you were born, like I said, there's months, there's days, there's hours. And also at the end of the day, this is astrology. Don't let it dictate your life, okay? So you can be friends with the people that astrology says you're friends with. You can be enemies with the people astrology says you're supposed to be friends with. You can be friends with the people that astrology says you're supposed to be enemies with, or you can be enemies with the people that astrology says you're supposed to be enemies with. Or it can all be neutral. Obviously, we're going to like people and dislike people, especially born in certain years, because that's so general. When you get more into the months, the days, the hours, that's when it's going to get more specific, but also there's multiple signs going on there, so it gets more complicated, and it's not an end-all be-all. I am a snake. Pig is my enemy. But I was born the month of the pig. That's a contradiction in and of itself, but that's me. So now let's get into these friends and enemies, starting with rat because that is the first Chinese zodiac sign. Rat's best friend is ox, next to dragon, and then monkey. Rats are also really good friends with other rats. Rat's enemies, we've got horse. Notice that's the opposite. Goat is also supposed to be a really bad rivalry with rats, but I know goats and rats that are friends, so take with that what you will. We've also got rooster and then rabbit. Possible romance with dragon. Possible not so great chances for romance with horse and rooster. Now for ox. Ox's best friends are rat, then snake and rooster. Their enemies are the goat, the opposite from them. That one can be really bad. People also say the horse is really bad. Also on the list of enemies is dragon, dog, then rabbit. Possibility for romance with the rooster and the snake. Possibility for not so great romance with the dog. However, I do know a dog and ox couple who make a really good couple. Now for tiger. Tiger's best friends are horse, dog, rabbit, and pig. We'll come back to pig. I know you guys see we got many symbols there. Their enemies are monkey, snake, and pig. It's a love-hate relationship there. Possibility for romance with the pig. Also possibility for romance with the horse. Not so great relationships would be the snake or the goat. Your friends are dog, pig, goat, and tiger. Your enemies are rooster, dragon, as well as horse, rat, and ox. Possibility for romance with the dog, goat, and monkey. And then possibility for not so great romance with the rooster, as that's your opposite. For dragons, your friends are rooster, monkey, rat, and snake. Your enemies are dog, rabbit, and ox, as well as other dragons. Possibility for romance with monkeys and rats, and possibilities for not so great romance with dogs. Now for snakes, your best friends are ox, rooster, dragon, and then monkey. And your enemies are pig, tiger, and then also monkey. It's a love-hate relationship there. Possibility for romance with ox, and possibility for not so great romance with pig and tiger. Horse, your friends are goat, tiger, and dog. Your enemies are rat, ox, rabbit, and other horses. Possibility for a good romantic relationship with tigers. Possibility for not so great romantic relationship with rats. All right, goat. Your friends are horse, pig, and rabbit. Your enemies are ox, rat, dog. You could have a good romantic relationship with pig or rabbit, and possibly bad romantic relationship with tigers. All right, monkeys. Your friends are rat, dragon, snake, rooster. And your enemies are tiger, pig, and snake. It's a love-hate relationship. Possible romance with dragons or rabbits. Possible bad romantic connection with pigs. All right, rooster, your best friends are dragon, ox, snake, and monkeys. And your enemies are rabbit, dog, rat, and also other roosters. Possible romance with ox, and possible not so great romance with rabbit or rat. All right, dog, your friends are rabbit, tiger, horse, and pig. Your enemies are dragon, rooster, and goat, which is kind of a love-hate relationship, but they're not friends enough to really put a friend star next to it. Possible romance with rabbit, possible not so great romance with dragon or ox, but like I said, I know a dog and ox couple that go really well together. Pig's friends are goat, rabbit, dog, and tiger, and their enemies are snake, monkey, tiger, and also other pigs. Possible romance with tigers, and possible not so much romance with snake and monkey. So now we've talked about the signs, their enemy signs. These are the main enemy signs that I want you guys to focus on. The opposite ones like rat and horse, snake, pig, ox, goat, etc. Like I said, there are other enemy signs. I read those off in the order that I think is relevant with the friends. The first friend I listed being the best friend, second best friend, etc. Same with enemies. The first enemy I listed was the worst enemy, second was the second enemy, etc. Now that we know our friends and enemies, we can start using this to our advantage, not just with people, but with countries, with states, with cities, with brands, with car brands, with car years, with the year our house was made in, clothing brands that we wear a lot, possibly food brands that we eat a lot, record labels, music that we listen to, celebrities' birth years. We can start using this to our advantage. Once we know our enemies, we know what to avoid. We know not to make massive decisions in our enemy years. Last year was the year of the snake. Last year was a really good year for me. So in 6 years, it's going to be my enemy year. I don't want to make any major decisions or any major changes or any major moves in my life during that time because I don't want them to go bad. I want to make my major moves during my year, like the year of the snake, like I was trying to do, and also, ally friend years or neutral years. Right now, being the year of the horse, friends with horses are going to do great in this year. Horses' enemies, like rats, the major enemy, they might not do as well this year in 2026 because it's the rat's enemy year because their enemy is the horse. Everybody goes through an enemy year when they are like 5, 6 years old, and then again when they're like 17, 18 years old. And if you think about it, you might not remember when you were like 5 and 6 that well, but when you were 18, weren't you going through some weird transitional kind of enemy like territory? I know I was. Were you? Let me know. And then in another 12 years, it'll happen again. Every 12 years, because this is a 12-year cycle, we have our year and then we have our enemy year. So when we're 6, it might not be a great year. When we're 12, it's probably a great year. When we're 18, it might not be a great year. When we're 24, it'll probably be a great year. When we're 30, it might not be a great year. When we're 36, it should be a great year. You can use this for so much, and that's just the year signs I'm talking about right now. So do some research. If you have a 5, 6-year-old, be cautious. If you have a 11, 12-year-old, maybe let them go out on a whim and do some cool things. If you have a 17, 18-year-old, help them out extra that year too because they're probably going through it. If you're 24, freaking go for it. That's your year. I'm going to leave the link to my astrology playlist. If I make other videos on Chinese astrology, I will put them in that astrology playlist. In there, I have multicultural astrology. It's mainly Western and Vedic concepts, Draconic concepts, but we talk about Chinese, Tibetan, Celtic, Native American, Mayan, and Egyptian astrology too, as well as numerology and possibly human design in the future once I get more into it. Have an awesome week, you guys. Peace.